hopeful that negotiations can prevail in something meaningful.
What do you think of what do you think of Trump's approach to end Russia's war against Ukraine? Would it do it differently?
Yeah, look, let me acknowledge that he's been active, and to his credit, the administration's been active in trying to pursue peace, and I appreciate that. And I think all of us should. I think all of us in the United States do. That said, his approach is certainly not producing real results. I mean, it's self-evident. He was just over next door, getting updated, intelligence as it relates to what's happening with the drone strikes coming from Putin and the like. And so I hope he adjusts his approach, and I hope his approach is a little more muscular, a little more expressive, a little more supportive, financially and otherwise. But I do appreciate the active engagement, and I think that's critical.
Do you believe in the U.S. security guarantees for Ukraine? Do you think they are really serious for Ukraine in the case of ceasefire?
Well, it's hard to, it's hard to know with Donald Trump. It's just hard to know with Donald Trump. And it's hard to know what he's back channeling to Putin. And that's the difficulty with Trump. There's so much self-dealing, so much grift, so much graft, so much corruption with our current administration in Washington, D.C. That self-dealing is self-evident. And so you just always have to mark that consideration as it relates to any of these things. But I appreciate the framework and the plan. I think they've come, it's remarkable in a matter of months how close they've come, the European Union, our allies, and Zelensky appears to be broadly aligned with where we are. We just have this outlier in Putin, who certainly can't be trusted. And so that's why a little more muscular approach, doubling down on support and not walking away from support of the Ukrainian people at this time, I think is what's needed. But again, the active engagement I think is important. And there's no doubt, one thing about Donald Trump, he wants a deal, and he needs a deal for personal, professional reasons. And so that pursuit is critical. And so I appreciate that energy. And I think that should give people more confidence, not less, that we can get to a conclusion.
But should US put more pressure on Putin rather than on Zelensky and Ukraine?
I think the answer is yes. And the administration is beginning to do that. Obviously, you've seen that with the tariff policies as it relates to India, ratcheting things up. I mean, these secondary sanctions, is strategy. It's chess, not checkers. Would we like to see this happen earlier? Yes. But, I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback. It's iterative. It's happening in real time. And there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that ultimately made public. But, I'd like to see more of that. I think all of us do, because we want to see this war end. We've just seen images of 6-year-olds that were kidnapped. Now we're finally got back to their beds in Ukraine, but now there's no heat, facing some dire conditions and historic level of drone attacks. So, this thing needs to come to an end, and I appreciate the administration's willingness to do what they need to do, but we hope to see more.
Thanks, everyone. We need to get